Yes, guys, welcome back to the Cannon Podcast. Today, me, Alex, and George are all here. Me and Alex are actually the same country. We're in Dubai, and George is in cold Canada. Is it cold right now in Canada?
Country?
It's cold.
Country.
It's cold.
I mean, it's not country. It's a part of the UAE, but you know what I mean. Is it cold in Canada?
I think it's an emirate.
It's cold in Canada.
Yeah, it's a city. It's a city. Dubai's a city, right? Dubai is very warm, by the way, George. So I just want to tell you.
What's the
air conditioning's on right now.
What's the biggest misconception about Dubai, and what's the most Dubai thing from each of you guys having been there?
The biggest misconception is that it's expensive. It's not. Obviously, shops are expensive, but those shops are across the world. But I'm talking about just the generic day-to-day expenses. Like, it's really cheap. Really cheap.
It is just an adult theme park, pretty much. Like, in terms of how we approach it.
Alex, have you said the Habibi welcome come to Dubai yet? Have you not said that yet?
No, but there are some beautiful Habibis here. Let me tell
you
the
Habibis are here. There are a lot of Habibis.
Let me tell you that.
There are a lot of Habibis. But we'll keep that for a different podcast. Today, though, we're here to talk about a massive game this weekend. Liverpool versus the Arsenal. Anfield. We've not won at Anfield since, when was the last time we won at Anfield? 2000 and... Oh, when is the last time we won at Anfield? That's a very good question.
15?
In the league we're talking, though, right?
Yeah, in the league. Not Carabao Cup penalty shootout. In the league. I think it was either the one that stands out is Podolski's 2-0, Cazorla and Podolski. I think that might be the last.
Wow.
I can't think of since. Yeah.
Am I bugging, or was it 2015? No, it was 2012-13.
2015.
2nd of September.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Santi Cazorla and Lucas Podolski. That's how long ago. Yeah, Abu Dhabi masterclass. That's what we saw there. Very, very good central running power from Abu Dhabi. Now we've got Declan Rice. So listen, is this game? Let's start off with Klopp's comments. Right, he was talking about the fact that Anfield needs to be active and that he's calling for the crowd to be loud, and he knows that he's going to need it in this game. Do you think now, George, that the way Jurgen Klopp's talking about Arsenal, it's more and more as a serious? We're not just a threat now. We are a team that are essentially, above them in the pecking order in terms of fighting Man City. Yeah, for me, when I look at how Pep talks about Arteta versus Liverpool at this stage, he seems to take Arsenal a little bit more seriously, whereas Klopp right now in the past has been a bit more, he's not really appreciated Arsenal like that, whereas now it feels like, no, we're the real deal and the fans need to be active. So what do you think? Do you think it is now Klopp thinking, listen, Arsenal is a really, really hard game, we need to take it seriously?
100%. I mean, when's the last time that you've seen him call for Anfield like that? I mean, I think the last time I've seen it was when in the Champions League, when they were down. There was a time when he called for it, but he only really does it when he's facing a big task, when there's something ahead of him that he feels right now the group needs a pick-me-up. And by the way, any manager does this, not just Klopp, but it's just stark because Klopp is such an outspoken character. He's normally so brazen. It looks like a sign of weakness. I'll be honest with you. I looked at that and saw blood in the water. I'll be very honest with you because
it was desperation in his eyes. I'll tell you that.
Well, look, we can joke about it, but like legitimately, I feel as though that when you see a manager do those things and start to go and call on your crowd, your home environment, you're nervous for the match. You realize the scope of what it is, and we've never been in the conversation for a scope for the last 5 years, and so I think it's a symbol for us being taken seriously by the league in general, because I don't think it's just Klopp, but we're no longer being little brothered. There is a recognition for our quality and our threat, and you can't get beyond that. Now, look, on the game itself, we'll talk about the tactics and the previews and what we expect to come, but I love the media impact about what this means, because you don't go to a press conference with the intent on calling on your home fans and talking about the other team as opposed to your quality if you're not scared. That's how I look at it. I mean, a manager in general will talk about the benefits that they have, the tactics that they have. If they're in a confident mood, they talk about themselves. If you're not confident, you tend to focus on the opposition, the referees, the environment, things that you feel you can't control. Whereas a confident person talks about what we can control. And, I'm really somebody that kind of carries that ethos in life as well. Like, I mean, if you're confident in a particular task and a particular thing, you're going to say, listen, I've got the quality, I've got the experience, I've got the timing to do it. And, it's about going out there and getting what you deserve in a sense. Mm-hmm. But if I'm sitting there nervous for a presentation, I'm going to start commenting on, well, how many people are going to be there? Is it going to be a TA that's marking me? Is it going to be other things? So it gives me a bit of that feel to it. And I'll be honest, couldn't have happened to a nicer bloke. I really find Jurgen Klopp at times really insufferable personally. I find it really annoying that he's been the patronage for kind of the hardworking man, or like this kind of analogy that he's a people's manager in a sense. I find him quite whiny. I find him quite petulant, and I feel that when things don't go his way, he acts out like a child about it. And we have every reason to be confident. We're coming in with a week's rest. So I'm ready, mate. I'm ready to talk tactics, but just this press conference in general, I felt Jurgen Klopp showed a bit of his colors, showed a bit of his anxiety about the match.
I feel like I'm not sure if you guys noticed, but Klopp talked about the fact that Arsenal had a week to prepare for this game, very slyly, almost as he always does, going, "Oh, we're Arsenal. They got well. Listen, Jurgen Klopp, you're in the Carabao Cup. Well, what can we do about that? It's not our fault, is it?" But yeah, I think he's aware. He's aware that we're a dangerous team, anyways, regardless of the 1 week in between to prepare for it, and he realizes that when you've got Saliba, Gabriel, and Declan Rice, it's going to be an absolute physical context. And Liverpool don't have that same level of power they used to have. Wijnaldum, Henderson. They've got players that, George talked about in the past, but they're more technicians. We have got the power to really cause issues. And, we talked about it earlier, but the last time we won at Anfield, we had power in midfield with a bit of technical quality of Cazorla, but the power of Abu Dhabi. And we're going to Anfield for the first time in a while because last year, Partey wasn't available. Missed that game. I think the year before that, Partey wasn't available either. So our midfield hasn't had that power for a long time, and now we've got that there. You've got a lot of options as well. You can go with Havertz and Odegaard. There's a lot of players there as well. But George, I saw a stat earlier, and it was that the fact that Arsenal have won the most tackles, interceptions, and block passes in the final third this season. I mean, we talked about the best off-the-ball team in the league. Let's actually go to Alex for a sec. Are we actually that team now, off the ball? Because I remember the days of Arsene Wenger where we were really, really poor off the ball. It was always on the ball, but off the ball, it was, we could be in trouble now.
Yeah.
Going to Anfield now with this level of quality. Go on, Alex.
Well, I something George said earlier, I think, has chimed. He only really says those sorts of things when he feels like he's up against something. And you're right. I think it was before that Barcelona game where they were already 3-0 in the deficit, so he probably feels already at a disadvantage, and I think what you're referring to will be part of it. Also in that interview, a bit that gets missed is he says something along the lines of, if I can tell you one thing about this team, they will be prepared. So we need to And I think that's one of the things that's obviously changed about us over the last few years. It feels like we're tactically, technically prepared and go into games sort of physically, mentally in those ways. But also in terms of our physicality, in terms of our size, in terms of our strength, I think has massively come on leaps and bounds. I mean, there's all sorts of stats. You can look at I think it was the Everton game. We finished it with like 7 players outfield over 6 foot. You look at the signings. We were talking about on the last episode. It's not only the quality of the signings. There's clearly a certain style. Onana, what is he? 6'4", Solanke 6'2", Ivan Toney 6'1", Osimhen 6'3". Whoever we're being linked with, these players that we're looking at, there is clearly a physical profile there as well. And I think that is what has been needed to take Arsenal in many ways to the next level. It sounds a bit rudimentary, but I think tactically, I've never been worried about Arteta. It's never been a concern about he's going to be outfought or outthought particularly. It's always been about whether he's had the tools at his disposal. And you obviously need different things for different games. But at Anfield away, it feels like the first time, as Klopp said, we're going in we're prepared physically in terms of our size and strength, but also the rest that we've had. And we're going to be able to go and battle them. And maybe to go on to the tactics very quickly, I was watching Liverpool last night. They want to play half-court basketball. That's what Liverpool want to do. They want to sit as high as they possibly can, win the ball back quickly, and get to you very, very quickly. If we allow them to do that, it's curtains. But I think we have the physical size and stature and also the technical quality to stop them doing that. And I think once you stop them doing that, I don't want to say I'm not worried, but it takes 80, 70% of their threat away.
Yeah, it's one of those games where you can be excited and think we've had this in the past where Arsenal fans are going, wow, going to Anfield this time, we've got some confidence. I've just not got confidence in this team. I've got belief. They've got the emotional character to go to Anfield and do it. And I think we are the best team in the league now in terms of yellow cards and red cards. Believe it or not, apart from our manager, Our team is very good at avoiding yellow cards, whereas I think Liverpool are 13th. That shows, George, that Arsenal are emotionally maturing to the level where, we can go to Anfield now. And look, listen, Anfield's a place where you could still lose and win a title. Man City almost lose there every year and win the title. But if you could go there and win, Especially after our last win against Brighton and, the performance. We need that big win away from home. We've won to Stamford Bridge. We've drawn. It was felt like a loss at the point. Went to Aston Villa and lost. Newcastle. If we can go to Anfield now and beat them there after a win against Brighton, a team that we struggle against home, it would be one hell of a statement, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, look, I think objectively, no one game in a season defines a title race. Absolutely none. And I firmly believe that. But I will say that I think that the media narrative and the perception of this team changes overnight with one game. That's football. And so those two, I think they can be true at the same time. And I think they are really for us approaching this match. There's one player, and we've eulogized about him so much on the pod, but it is really Declan Rice. I look at, why did you buy a £105 million signing? Why did Liverpool go out and buy Virgil van Dijk? They didn't buy him just because he's a brilliant player, which they are. Both of these are world-class elite talents, arguably people that will define how we view the position, arguably. And so when I look at it, though, you buy these £105 million signings to step up and change the temperature of a game, somebody to sit there in the cauldron and basically rise up. And I find Declan Rice is the epitome of that. Every time the game goes a bit crazy, every time the temperature rises, Arsenal have fallen at Anfield. That is the reason that we have struggled. We start brilliantly. Lads, last time we started brilliantly. In fact, we were on top. I think had the altercation with Klopp never happened, we're sitting there talking about a very different Arsenal game. But the point is, every time the temperature rises at Anfield, Arsenal have crumbled. There's one man who doesn't crumble when the temperature rises, and that's Declan Rice. He almost wills his team to that place to get a result, and I really think he's going to be the difference. I think our out of possession play, you make a note of it, Bhavs. I've made the point on Twitter. I've made it on here so many times. I believe Arsenal are the best out of possession team in the world, given the variety of their pressing shapes. And just to end on a little tactical note for me, when I looked at Liverpool broadly speaking, Alex, you're talking about them in the press. You know what I saw? Them in build-up. And they should be very afraid, because Arsenal, in terms of their ability to press, when I look at the high turnovers that we created against Brighton and that game plan, that is something that I'm licking my lips as kind of a rival fan there. And I'm seeing a way to get at Liverpool. And I believe that by having people like Declan Rice, Saliba, Gabriel in your team, you've got the security to gamble. A lot of times I feel as though that Mikel has provided a game plan and prepared a way to win. Sometimes, though, the players don't feel confident for whatever reason. Maybe you can call it immaturity, you can call it maybe a quality difference, you can call it whatever you want. There are some times that, Mikel's coached a certain game plan and the team haven't performed. But I believe by having characters like your Declan Rices, like your Salibas, like your Gabriels, you platform your attacking talent to express themselves. There is a level of, we've got this, go and do your thing. And I believe that's going to be really important to this story of the Liverpool game, because for as much as Liverpool have their benefits in ball striking as well as outside the box in terms of Trent Alexander-Arnold, Szoboszlai, they've got talented people that can shoot. And I do think that David Raya will have to have a good game shot stopping wise. That will be part of the fabric of this game. But broadly speaking, they're a team that struggle to exert influence in the middle third. They bypass their midfield. This is a very new type of Liverpool. And I think that if you're able to clamp down on not providing high XG chances and limiting them to shots outside the box, then you're going to be looking at an Arsenal who can control things between the boxes. Now, the question is, can we be clinical? And we do actually have players, because it's not just Declan Rice, mate. It's Gabriel Jesus. I don't know if you know, but look at his record against Liverpool. It is incredible. It's almost guaranteed that he gets a goal and assist. And we finally have our answer to Jota, who seems to want to score every time that he's against us. I think that there are players that we've got that have given us a way to be confident.
Just one very brief thing on that as well. If they are going to be more direct, that relies on forwards who are a little bit more technically secure. The ball was bouncing off Nunes, bouncing off Gakpo like you wouldn't believe. And Harvey Elliott is the only one really last night. This is last night. They might not play the same team, but Harvey Elliott was the only one who was showing a level of technical quality in the final third. But he makes me realise how lucky we are to have Saka. Clearly a very talented player, but in the final third, he's constantly making the wrong decision. And yeah, I think if we can stop them playing, other way around. If we can play our game, I'm confident.
Yeah, is this a game then that we look at and go, is this how Arsenal approach it in their way, or is it respecting Liverpool, having a game plan for them as well? Because you have to, going to Anfield. When was the last time a team won there with the crowd? I think it was Leeds last year. City ever won there for a long time. Arsenal won there for a long time. United always get battered there as well. So it's one of those grounds where just the heritage alone comes out, and a lot of fans will be wanting to make sure none of our players make any stupid fouls. But even going back to last year, there's a lot made of the whole Xhaka challenge. On Trent on the far post, the far, and it was nothing. It was nothing. He just made you can't make a foul nowadays, and get the scouts are saying, "Come on, the lads." Now, I think what it is in this game is all about how can Arsenal approach it defensively as well. And I'm not sure is Salah's fit, right? Salah's fit and available.
Yeah.
So Salah's fit. So we have to talk about left back then, because that is the one area where defensively we aren't as strong as on the right or defensive on the centre of the pitch. Zinchenko versus Salah. Alex, how do we cope?
Thanks for checking out the Cannon Podcast. To hear the full episode, sign up as a YouTube member on this channel or go to patreon.com/thecannonpod.